What I observe unfolding in the relationship between Donald Trump and Elon Musk represents nothing less than the systematic emergence of an unelected tech oligarch, exercising presidential-level authority over American government and policy and operations while circumventing every constitutional framework designed to ensure democratic accountability. Musk's unprecedented access to classified information, government decision-making processes, and direct policy implementation authority creates a shadow presidency that operates beyond congressional oversight, judicial review, or electoral accountability. The intelligence is clear, crystal clear. Musk's integration into government operations extends far beyond traditional advisory roles into direct operational control over critical government functions, including space policy, defense contracts, telecommunications, infrastructure, and international diplomatic communications through his control of SpaceX, Starlink, and social media platforms. Intelligence briefings indicate that Musk receives classified information equivalent to cabinet-level officials while maintaining private business interests that create systematic conflicts of interest with American national security. What troubles me most profoundly is the constitutional crisis that Musk's shadow presidency represents for democratic governance. The Constitution establishes clear separation of powers and accountability mechanisms that require elected officials to exercise executive authority, while Musk operates with presidential-level influence without electoral mandate, confirmation process, or constitutional authority. This arrangement enables private oligarchic control over government functions while eliminating democratic oversight of critical policy decisions. I'm analyzing intelligence assessments that detail Musk's systematic integration into government communication, networks, decision-making, processes, and policy implementation mechanisms that exceed any previous private sector influence over government operations. Musk participates in classified intelligence briefings, military planning sessions, and diplomatic communications with foreign leaders while maintaining private business relationships that create direct conflicts between personal financial interests and American national security objectives. Congressional oversight of Musk's government role reveals systematic inadequacy of existing transparency and accountability mechanisms for addressing oligarchic influence over government operations. Traditional oversight frameworks assume clear distinction between government officials and private actors, while Musk's hybrid role operates beyond established oversight jurisdiction. Congress lacks adequate authority for investigating or controlling Musk's government influence, while constitutional frameworks provide no mechanisms for addressing shadow presidency scenarios. The economic implications of Musk's government control extend beyond immediate policy influence into systematic restructuring of government contracts and economic relationships that benefit Musk's business interests while potentially compromising American economic competitiveness. Musk's companies receive billions in government contracts while Musk exercises influence over contract award processes, regulatory frameworks, and competitive bidding requirements that create systematic advantages for his business operations. What makes Musk's shadow presidency particularly dangerous is the systematic integration of private tech platforms with government communications and decision-making processes that enables unprecedented surveillance and control capabilities. Musk's control over social media platforms, satellite communications, and transportation systems provides comprehensive influence over information flows and infrastructure operations that enable oligarchic control over democratic processes and public discourse. Regional security implications of Musk's government role include systematic conflicts between Musk's business interests in China, Russia, and other authoritarian nations and American national security objectives. Musk maintains significant business relationships with Chinese government entities while participating in American military planning against Chinese strategic threats. This creates systematic intelligence security risks while enabling potential foreign influence over American government decision-making. The technological sovereignty implications include systematic private control over critical government infrastructure and communications systems that enable oligarchic leverage over government operations. Musk's companies provide essential services for government communications, space operations, and defense systems, while Musk exercises direct influence over government policy that affects his business interests. This arrangement creates unprecedented private leverage over government operations through infrastructure dependencies. Intelligence community assessments regarding Musk's government access indicate systematic and security risks from private actor participation in classified operations while maintaining international business relationships that could compromise intelligence security. Musk's access to classified military technology, intelligence assessments, and operational and planning creates systematic risks for intelligence compromise, while his international business operations provide potential vectors for foreign intelligence penetration. The democratic governance implications extend beyond immediate policy influence into systematic erosion of electoral accountability and constitutional frameworks that enable democratic control over government operations. Musk's shadow presidency demonstrates that private wealth and technological control can achieve government influence equivalent to elected authority while bypassing democratic accountability mechanisms that ensure popular control over government. Information warfare capabilities that Musk's social media control provides enable systematic manipulation of public discourse and electoral processes while coordinating with government operations in ways that blur distinctions between government communications and private propaganda. Musk's control over Twitter enables direct influence over political discourse, while his government access provides information advantages that enable coordinated information operations supporting government policy objectives. Counter-oligarchy mechanisms that American constitutional frameworks provide prove inadequate for addressing systematic private control over government functions through technological and economic leverage. Traditional separation of powers assumes clear distinction between government and private actors, while modern oligarchic influence operates through hybrid arrangements that combine private wealth technological controls and government access in ways that exceed constitutional frameworks. The precedent implications of Musk's shadow presidency extend beyond immediate policy concerns into systematic demonstration that oligarchic wealth can achieve government control through technological leverage and economic influence, and without electoral mandate or constitutional authority. This precedent encourages other tech oligarchs to pursue similar government influence while demonstrating that democratic accountability mechanisms cannot effectively control modern oligarchic power. International implications include systematic demonstration to authoritarian nations that American democracy can be compromised through oligarchic influence while creating opportunities for foreign intelligence services to exploit private sector access to government operations. Foreign intelligence services observe Musk's government integration as demonstration that private actors can achieve systematic influence over American government through technological and economic leverage. The constitutional restoration requirements for addressing Musk's shadow presidency include comprehensive legislative frameworks that establish clear boundaries between government authority and private influence while ensuring democratic accountability for all government decision-making processes. Current constitutional frameworks require systematic updating for addressing modern oligarchic influence through technology platforms and economic leverage that exceeds traditional separation of powers assumptions. Enforcement mechanisms for controlling oligarchic government influence remain limited by traditional legal frameworks that assume clear distinctions between government and private authority, while modern tech oligarchy operates through hybrid arrangements that blur these boundaries. Effective control of oligarchic influence requires new legal and constitutional frameworks that address technological leverage, economic influence, and information control capabilities that enable systematic private control over government operations. Recovery scenarios from oligarchic government control require comprehensive democratic restoration that includes constitutional amendments, legislative reforms, and enforcement mechanisms that ensure popular control over government operations while limiting private oligarchic influence through technological and economic leverage. Democratic restoration requires systematic effort to reestablish constitutional boundaries and accountability mechanisms that current frameworks cannot effectively provide. As I conclude this analysis, I recognize that Musk's shadow presidency represents more than policy disagreement or political influence. It represents systematic constitutional crisis that demonstrates how modern oligarchic wealth and technological control can compromise democratic governance through hybrid arrangements that operate beyond constitutional accountability mechanisms. The decisions made about oligarchic influence, democratic accountability, and constitutional frameworks will determine whether American democracy can maintain popular control over government operations, or whether oligarchic wealth and technological control will systematically replace democratic governance with private oligarchic rule that operates beyond electoral accountability or constitutional constraint.